Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is going to be the second video and basically the part 2 of my skincare routine. So it's basically what I'm currently using this summer. If you're interested to see my nighttime routine, I will link that video for you. Basically, I wanted to split these up in 2 videos because 1, if you don't care, and 2, because it would just be really too long. And they're probably already going to be too long because I talk too much. So kind of disclaimer, disclosure, blah, 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 before we get totally started. One thing is my skin type. My skin type is combination. I have a oily T-zone and kind of normal everywhere else with a couple quite dry patches. So I kind of have to combat that with my products as best as I can. So some things are more suited for oily skin, some things are more for kind of normal, but that's just how it goes. I also don't really have acne prone skin, so I'm able to kind of use whatever I want. I do spot tests, but most things won't break me out. I also have sensitive skin, so there are a couple things I avoid. I prefer to use things that don't have fragrance. I also don't use things with sodium lauryl sulfate. That's something that I don't even have in my toothpaste. I also avoid chemical sunblocks. My skin doesn't really like that either, so those are things that you won't really see in my routine because my skin doesn't like it. And lastly, your mileage may vary. These are things that work for me, things that I've used for some time and that I really like. But again, skin is something that's very personal for person to person. So I always recommend spot testing to see whether or not you're gonna break out for it, if you're gonna have a rash or anything like that, because something that works for me may not work for you. So if you have a different skin type than me and maybe you have a question, leave that in the comments box below and I'll try to answer it if I know the answer. And then if anyone else is watching and they're like, oh, that's like an issue I have and I have that skin type, maybe they can help you out too. So I don't usually wash my face in the morning. I basically just rinse it in the shower. I used to wash my face in the morning and then I found that I don't really reap a lot of benefits for it. If I do wash my face, I will use the Boscia Detoxifying Cleanser, which I talked about in my other video, but don't really wash my face in the morning. I do, however, always rinse it. I pretty much shower every morning, but if for some reason I don't, I will like rinse my face and use like a wet washcloth to kind of get off the nastiness from when you sleep. I then use the Thayer's Rose Petal Witch Hazel. This is something that I talked about in my previous video. I use this just on a cotton ball, take it all over my face. I like this. It soothes my skin, adds a little bit of moisture. It's alcohol free, so we're not going to dry my skin out, and I really like using a toner. It's not a skip. I like to skip. Could I skip it? Probably. If you don't want a toner, skip it. But I really like using a toner, and I find this one adds a little bit of extra hydration, plus it's going to get off anything that's kind of left on my skin. The next step here kind of changes depending on what my skin is like. So we're going to talk about them and then kind of figure it out. So I switch between what my daily moisturizer is a lot of the time. This is one that I've used for a long time. This is just basically the Neutrogena oil-free sensitive skin. Again, I don't like things that have an SPF because a lot of times in the moisturizers, they're chemical based and I don't use those in my routine if I can avoid it. And so I do really like this one, the Neutrogena one, anything that's basic. This is what I'm currently using, and this is the Derma MD Hydrate. I have really been enjoying this. This is their nighttime one, but I've been using the day because I want to. But I really enjoy this. It smells really nice. It smells like Tutti Frutti candy. I really like this because it's vitamin E, so it's going to be very nourishing. It has some aloe vera. It also has avocado oil, which I kind of talked about a little bit more in my previous video. And then it also has hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid is a great thing, especially for you dry skin people out there. Hyaluronic acid is something that I did use frequently in Utah that I don't use as much here because I just don't, well, so far I haven't needed it. And hyaluronic acid is basically a humectant, so it's gonna pull moisture from the air. I don't use a moisturizer every day in the summer. It kind of just depends on what my skin's feeling. I do, however, kind of use it on those areas that I do have more dryness, again, because I have that kind of extreme combination. I get a lot of dryness around kind of my chin area and my nose and my eyes, so I'll use a moisturizer there even if I don't use it on like my forehead and my cheeks. So now we're to the sunscreen part of this video. you should wear a sunscreen pretty much every day. That's basically your biggest way that you prevent signs of aging, is wearing a sunblock. Like I said earlier, I don't use chemical sunblocks. What's the difference between a chemical and a physical sunblock? I'm gonna link a blog post I wrote on my favorite sunscreen down below if you want like a big long spiel about it, but I'll kind of give you the TLDR right now. And so a chemical sunblock, you're gonna put on your skin and it's gonna soak into your skin, and it works by either scattering the rays or neutralizing the rays, or a combination of both depending on what active ingredient it is. So that's great for people with a little more on the oily skin side because it actually soaks into the skin. However, I can't use that because chemical sunblocks, you can kind of get either stinging or allergic reactions. I avoid high concentrations. If I have something that's a low SPF, like in a moisturizer or something, that's not a huge deal, but I don't go for like an SPF 50 to put on my face of a chemical sunblock like ever. That's why, again, I recommend spot testing. Physical sunblocks don't soak into your skin. They sit on top of the skin because the way they work is when the sun comes down, it reflects. So zinc oxide and titanium dioxide are basically the active ingredients in chemical sunblocks. So the way chemical sunblocks work is if this is your skin and this is the sun, instead of like penetrating the skin and neutralizing it, they actually just reflect. So kind of a semi-common misconception is that SPF is going to make the flashback, but it's those ingredients. It's the zinc and titanium because they reflect. They're considered a sunblock, they're not a sunscreen. Another thing about those is, one, they do cause flashback when chemical sunblocks, like unless they also have these, especially the ones that neutralize, that don't scatter, you're not really gonna have an issue with flash photography. But these will, because what they do to the sun is reflect it away from your skin. Another thing is they sit on top of the skin. They don't actually penetrate it. So when you're applying those, instead of just kind of rubbing it into your skin like you would with a chemical sunblock, it's actually best to almost pat it into your skin. I also find that gives me the best finish when I then go in with makeup later. The kind of disadvantage is they're not very water resistant, and then they also give a white cast. I'm fair, not an issue for me, but people with the darker skin tone, it will look a little bit ashy on your skin just because of basically what it is. It's white and it reflects. So there are a couple that have tints to them to help kind of combat that. So instead of getting something where it's gonna come out white, it comes out like a deep flesh tone. So that's great too. So kind of my last little spiel on sunscreen is you need at least 1/4 teaspoon for your face area, and I always do my face as well as my décolleté basically every day, unless I'm like testing a foundation or something like that, because I want to protect my skin as well as I can. So now we're going to the products. My favorite product right now for physical sunblock is this Hydrolite Mineral Complex by Paula's Choice. I find that this does enough job with moisture that I don't necessarily need it for all over my face. That's why I was talking about when I use a moisturizer, a lot of times I'll just do it in spots. If you do use a moisturizer, especially before a physical sunblock, I would recommend giving it at least 10 to 15 minutes to soak in, especially because these are gonna sit on top of your skin, they're not gonna soak in. That being said, with it kind of sitting on top of your skin, mineral sunblocks aren't the best to wear with makeup. Obviously, I don't care. I wear makeup with my mineral sunblocks, but you might need a setting spray. You probably want to set your powder. It will start to break up your makeup over quite a few hours. This is what I find has given me the longest wear with makeup, which is why this is my go-to, because my biggest kind of criteria when it comes to finding a physical sunblock is what makes my makeup look best the longest, but that's kind of just the forewarning. Another thing with physical sunblocks, the active ingredient titanium dioxide can cause breakouts in some people, so if you haven't used one before, I would highly recommend spot testing before you put it all over your face. But this one's my favorite, sits best under my makeup. I have a full review on this and I will link that down below. This is what I'm currently trying. This is the La Vanilla, and they have a sports version, and so I'm trying this out as kind of a body sunscreen. I haven't tried it on my face yet, but I will, because it's a sport kind, and a lot of times you can't find ones that are kind of made for basically being outside, sweating, water activities. So I'm currently testing this out. I'm not really going to give any thoughts because I haven't used it long enough, but I'm using that as well. So these are my honorable mentions. This is the CeraVe sunscreen. If you can't get your hands on the Paula's Choice, this is probably my second choice for a physical sunblock. It works pretty well under your makeup. Not absolutely amazing, but it's not bad. And then this is probably my favorite for the body area, and this is the Alba Minerals, their Sports Very Emollient Sunscreen. I like this because it feels really nice when you put it on, and it doesn't seem to rub off super fast. And then I'm going to talk about masks in this video. I really only have 2 masks to talk about right now. I love the Glam Glow Super Mud. This is great. I do not use this all over my face because I find that 1, it's too much for my sensitive skin. You can also only use that like all over your face like 12 times. And this is pretty pricey, so I just don't find that to be cost effective. So I use this as a spot treatment. If I have a bad blemish, I will use this and cross my fingers that it goes away. Another mask that I will use is the True Self Organics. I also have a in-depth review on this. I do really like this for spots, and then I also use this as kind of an oil control throughout the summer, but I'll only apply it to my T-zone. I think this would be more suitable for someone that is a little more acne prone, and definitely for those with oily skin, and I would be very cautious if you do have sensitive skin if you're not using it just for a spot treatment. But I do find that this is something that I use throughout the summer because it controls oil and it's, again, a spot treatment. And that's pretty much everything I do for a daytime skincare routine. It's a lot less in depth than my nighttime skincare routine. My biggest thing is wear sunblock because that's the biggest way that you can prevent signs of aging. If you'd like kind of a video on sunscreen, I could talk about sunscreen for like ever. I would be happy to do that. If you want an in-depth video or reviews on any of these, let me know in the comments box below. You can also follow me on social media. It's Rebecca Shores MUA for my blog and Instagram and well, YouTube, but you're here. And then it's RK Shores for Snapchat and Twitter and Pinterest. So I hope I will see you guys on the next video. Let me know what kind of staples in your skincare that you love down below. And also if you have a mineral-based sunblock that you adore, also put that in the comments box below, and I will see you guys on the next video. See you later.